Hey guys, welcome back to the Stuff of Legend. My name is D'Lo, and I have some very sad news for you guys. So James Gunn, who is the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he had some creative input in Avengers: Infinity War, and he kind of set the tone that would eventually become Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok, and he's essentially changed the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the better in a very positive way. And he's one of my favorite directors in the MCU, including the Russo brothers. He's up there. He's a massive talent, and so much so that even Kevin Feige had essentially commissioned him to take over as the head of Marvel's cosmic movie universe. So any film that was going to come in the future, say like the Nova movie, if they should do that, like anything that was going to be in space, they were going to give that direction over to James Gunn so that he could helm that. Well, it looks like that's not going to be happening because James Gunn has been fired from Marvel Disney. He works technically for Disney, so it's Disney fires him through his involvement with Marvel on the premise of a series of very, very nasty tweets. And this is something that Disney has always upheld, is that anyone who works for them has to maintain a certain image, and you can't deviate from that in the public eye. If you commit a crime or if you do anything that is intensely controversial, this disqualifies you, excuse me, from being the face of their brand. I don't want to get into too many details. I'll keep this quite brief, but none of the tweets that happened that disqualified him were recent. In fact, the only things recently that he has done is essentially some very strong political opinions in frequent succession, and that's kind of how he operates on Twitter. That's mostly what he does. He does interact with fans, he does other things, but every day, day in, day out, he has very strong political opinions. He puts very on the forefront of his face and mind, and people that disagree with that on the other side of the political spectrum rebutted by going back into his tweet history as far back as even 10 years, 12 years, something like that. And they took screenshots of thousands of these tweets where to play devil's advocate in his defense, he says he was joking. This has always been his kind of darker sense of humor. However, the tweets are of the nature discussing very heinous and illegal acts that are disturbing, to say the least. And I'm literally talking about thousands of tweets. I'm not talking about hundreds. I am talking about thousands and thousands of tweets in the nature of, say, rape and pedophilia. And we're talking about very disgusting things that were jokingly said. He says jokingly said. However, Disney's number one demographic is children and families. So they're not going to allow this kind of a controversy in their news week. They're not going to have that. It's not only is it bad for business, they have always been about customer service, and they will not occupy the same shared space as something of this accusation. So James Gunn has been released. So how it went down was 2 days ago on the East Coast, I believe it was. He was getting into this argument with some people of an opposite political spectrum, and they had gone back, taken the history, found the tweets, recovered them, sent them to him, and they sent it to a bunch of people. People started to blow up about it. It started trending, essentially. And Disney got word of it. James Gunn took the tweets down, obviously fearing for his job. Now, to be fair, I think the most recent one of that nature was a few years back. I think it was right before he started with Disney Marvel. So he says he's changed his ways. However, Disney cannot tolerate this kind of a spectacle, this kind of controversy. And so, it's good. It's good for business, but it's also in moral standing that you don't allow this kind of behavior, even though it's not recent. they took the tweets, the snapshots. He takes down his Twitter for a few hours and then apparently cleans it up because he comes back with 10,000 deleted tweets. So his new account, not new account, but his awakened account, has 10,000 less tweets than it did before. So he just went and cleaned house and then came back and started new, but it wasn't enough because people had already taken the snapshots. It already exists. It's out there in the world. You can even find it right now. And Disney cut him. So this is shocking news coming to us. It's very tragic. Guardians of the Galaxy is still, I think, my favorite MCU film. I'm very fond of that. That was my wife and my first date. Love Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Love all the Guardians. Love the actors. Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana. Everyone who was involved there. We love those stories. We love what they did with that. And what James did with that. His storytelling is amazing. He's highly talented. But it's kind of a disturbing thing to find all of this stuff kind of buried in his Twitter closet, in his history so far back. It's essentially not our call whether or not he does or does not continue. Disney already made that call and they cut him. So two things I think we need to look for is to follow and observe for context. I don't think that he's quite defensible. I mean, I always try to play on the premise that you are innocent until proven guilty. But there is a lot of evidence to say that this is not just a sense of humor, but quite seriously some weird, sick obsession with, like rape and pedophilia and those kinds of things. There's no evidence that he has done any of these things, and it stands to reason that it is simply his darker sense of humor trying to push the boundaries of what's tolerable in comedy. That's what he's said. That's what he has made a defense for himself. But that's not Disney's way. So that's not going to affect him keeping or regaining his job. Whether or not he does get hired in the future is a whole nother story by Marvel Disney. His talents have been a huge asset to Disney, making them billions of dollars. But it's just tragic. It's sad, and it's scary at the same time. It's like I wonder. This is my personal speculation, right? So this is not fact. This is not something they've discovered. This is just me thinking out loud. But it makes me think that maybe there are some skeletons in his closet. Either that type of thing has happened to him. Maybe that's why his obsession has come out the way that it has. Or maybe he is one of those guilty minds that is constantly seeking to be found out. Maybe he has had some of those things in his life where there was some sort of case of rape or pedophilia or some burden of guilt, and it's kind of manifested itself coming out this way where he tries to write it off in humor and try to maybe justify it that way. This is my thinking out loud, guys. I am not accusing James Gunn of anything, but it does beg the question, why does he have this crazy obsession with sex with children and rape? Why is it this way? So that's my thought right there. That's my take. It's very sad. The other question I wanted to ask you guys is, who do you think Marvel is going to pick up where James left off? Guardians 3 was his baby, so they're going to have to scrap that project, scrap that idea, and have someone else pick up where he left off. A lot of people are looking to Taika Waititi, the guy who did Thor Ragnarok, that had a very similar feel to the Guardians. It's also a Marvel cosmic story. I think he would be well suited to pick up after after Avengers Infinity War in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That would be something I would be willing to just accept the swap for, accept the change in direction a little bit. Maybe they would go and they would pitch a few of his ideas, a few of James's ideas, and just allow that for his creative inspiration, and then talk to maybe some of the actors who might have known the ins and outs of where the story was supposed to go. I know there's a lot of secrecy with Marvel that might not even be possible. So they're going to figure this out, but they might even not appoint one man to the Marvel Cosmic anymore since James Gunn's not there. But some people are throwing around names like possibly J.J. Abrams stepping in to do something, maybe not the entire thing, but maybe just one thing for Marvel Cosmic, perhaps even Simon Pegg, who is also a huge nerd. He's spoken out in the past against Marvel films, but I don't think this is something that we should be worried about. It was just contextual. If he's in the creator's seat, he might be able to make something he himself is satisfied with. So that would be something, because he's a huge nerd too. He does Star Trek and I think he was even involved in part of Star Wars, consulting with J.J. Abrams. So that's something that I think would be very cool, to have maybe Simon Pegg either come on as some sort of help consultant, writer, or maybe allow him to get a shot at directing. I don't know. There's thousands and thousands of directors out there that could do a great job, but Marvel's going to find the one that wants to do the best. So you guys let me know in the comments if you guys have an idea of who you think that should be. Let me know what you think about James Gunn. Let me know what you think about the tweets. Let me know what you think about him being fired. This is a conversation I want to have. It's deeper, it's darker. Let's try to keep this civil. Let's try to keep this. Let's let cooler heads prevail here, because I think for at least for the business end of it, justice has already been served. I think there was word that possibly the FBI and the CIA, because of the nature of the tweets, they might be looking into James Gunn and his background and all that stuff. So let's just keep an eye out. There's no need to go and attack the guy for any of this. I would say the best bet is to leave him alone. As a parent, my instinct is to, all right, let's get the kids, let's get the wife, all right, we don't want to really be around this guy. That's kind of where I come at this, because justice is already being served. We don't have to go and make a Twitter storm about it. So, but let me know here. This is a place for conversation. I want to have that discussion with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be doing more live videos just like this. A few of them today. You might see me in the same shirt. That's fine. But I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys.